What's up, Raider Nation? Welcome to another episode of Night of the Shield. Today, we're talking Raiders at Browns. Well, at least what should have been Raiders at Browns today. Today being December 18th, 2021. The Raiders were supposed to be taking on the Cleveland Browns, but the coronavirus hit. I could go really deep down this rabbit hole right now, but I do want to share a few thoughts. I don't want to spend too much time on this topic just yet. I do want to take a deeper dive into everything that I feel is happening here. I just did a video, talking about Mark Davis once again, and Mark Davis will be mentioned in this video again, the new Derek Carr of my conversations, I suppose. But this is more league-based, not so much Mark Davis-based. Well, I mean, he's a huge part of it. He's a Davis. And the thing is, there's this conspiracy gamut that always keeps coming up when it comes to the NFL in general, that the NFL is rigged. The NFL is an entertainment company. Now, as much as I do believe that the NFL is an entertainment company, the NFL is not rigged. It is. I'll do a deeper dive into that. That's part of the rabbit hole I'm going to leave alone in this video for sure. In this video, I really just want to focus in on the current situation with the Raiders, the Super Bowl that we talked about, the statements that were made. Now, in all means, do I think this is a retaliation to what he had said about not winning on the field and winning off the field? I told you guys that was a shot at the NFL. That was his way of just kind of putting it out there in the universe. He's definitely not his father. He's not as bold and brash and come out and say it. Al would have just came out and said it. But when they moved this game to Monday, there was this big outburst from Raider players, which I think is fantastic. The players lashing out and saying what they're saying is another reason why you know that this league is not rigged. But that's neither here nor there. When it comes to this franchise, this organization, right? The NFL, they'll let Mark play in the sandbox, right? Mark was able to land this deal in Vegas, and they see the green, they see the money, and they'll let Mark be part of conversations. But I don't ever think they'll let Mark to the table, and I think Mark, for the most part, knows that, right? I think that Mark holds on to hope, and I think Mark holds on to the idea that he's going to be accepted. You ever have that friend that you had in high school that would hang out with your group, and you would always let them be there, and you would talk to them or anything, but they were never really part of your group per se. They weren't like, you weren't calling the dude and inviting him to the burger shop for a burger or something. It was just someone that hung out. That's what Mark's going to be. It's becoming more and more clear. Do I still feel like the NFL wants someone else to take over the Raiders? 100%, absolutely. And that's part of that deeper dive I want to get into when it comes to the NFL. This is, in my opinion, and I'm not afraid to say it because I'm not tied to any type of organization myself. On my own identity here on YouTube. There's no sponsors. I'm not even monetized. I'm not even monetized, so I mean, it's not like they're gonna take anything from me at this point. But the NFL is an organized crime organization. I mean, crime might be a brash word. They're not necessarily doing criminal acts, but I think people tend to forget that Roger Goodell, he is not an owner. He is not someone. I mean, yeah, the league's success pays his bills for sure. But he is brought in to be the mediator. He's there to create supposable balance in competitive nature, right? That's the whole point of having the league officials, is to kind of balance the competition and make it fair across the board. I wouldn't call this a rigged game, but it's definitely highly manipulated. And when it comes to our personal organization, it's heavily manipulated. And whether or not this had anything to do with Mark Davis's comments about getting the Super Bowl and not winning on the field but winning off the field, whether or not that has no direct tie-in to what happened when moving this football game, it was definitely something that they wanted to try to kill any type of momentum. Whatever the case may be, they do not want the Raiders to have that kind of success, right? They want Las Vegas itself to have success. They love the Las Vegas Raiders right now. They truly do. They like the entertainment that the city brings. They like the money, the stadium, the fans. Think about how the NFL is always trying to bring the NFL together, make it really diverse, people from other countries. Las Vegas is a destination where people from other countries would come to the States, go to Vegas and catch an NFL football game and spark interest throughout the world, not just the United States. That's kind of what they were trying to do in London all these years, right? Is spread the idea of the NFL. The Las Vegas gives them a platform in states for that, right? So that is something that they love. What they don't love is the Davis name. And I don't think Mark can do anything to get away from that persona that he carries. It's his birthright, it's his legacy. He will always be his father's son. And I think they would love to get one of their own, right? A multi-billionaire, someone to join the club. I mentioned the name Bezos before from Amazon. He's already, Amazon already landed the Thursday night deal for NFL Network. They would love for him to have a place in this league. And I'm sure at some point he probably will. Will it be the Raiders? I don't know. I mean, that's not for me to say. There's not enough evidence to show that right now. I don't think Mark Davis, that is going to give up his family legacy that easily. I think that he will at least fight for that and hold on to that as long as he's at least until he builds himself up his own legacy. Maybe it's the Aces. Maybe the Aces are a gateway for him to get something bigger and somewhere else down the line, invest in something else in Vegas. I don't know. We'll have to let this all play out. But at this current time, Mark Davis is not selling this football team. And unfortunately, it's going to be a struggle for us to be successful. It's not that it cannot be done. I mean, Al did it for years, right? I mean, Al wasn't able to replicate it right away after the '83 Super Bowl. It took us to 2003 to make the Super Bowl again. But we all know that the cards are always seem to be stacked against us. And that can't just be something that just happens all the time. But I do want to put out there that all teams are manipulated. All teams are manipulated for whatever reason. It's for the greater good of the league. Controversy is always good for the league. These types of negative discussions are really, really popular. If you look on YouTube, if you come out and you're real even tone like I usually am, and just really kind of just talking to you eye to eye and not necessarily trying to be too high or too low or too crazy. I have done a little bit of that in the past, but I'm just going to be that voice, right? I'm not, my takeoff here on YouTube is not going to be as great as someone that will talk, really high or really low or be real controversial. People look for that kind of stuff. World Star, people love that stuff, man. People want to see the negative side of things in our world today than, positive and especially middle of the road, which I consider myself a middle of the road kind of guy. I will talk about the positive, I will talk about the negative, but I'll do it for the most part even tone. I'm just going to have a conversation about it because quite honestly, there's nothing I could say that can change anything. Now, there is something that I can do, but I can't do it alone. A lot of times I hear people talk and they always want to say they don't give a shit about us. And I'm going to tell you, I'll be honest with you, they don't. Nor do they need to. Why? Because we keep buying the product. We keep buying the product and we keep supporting the league. Across the board, they're making money. The only way that you can really get their attention is to stop buying their product, which we all know it's become a great big part of our life. Every time we turn on our TV, we think it's about not going. Look, there's plenty of fans that are going to go to games, right? We can do it by shutting off our TVs too. But is that going to be enough? They're too big of a giant. It would take a huge controversy. If the conspiracy theory is true and the NFL is so-called rigged, that would need to be fully exposed for them to take a hit hard enough to change. But like I said, I mean, they're a very smart mafia-style organization that is not going to just let that happen easily. That's why I use the word manipulated. This league is extremely manipulated, and the Raiders have been on top of that list forever. We're the most picked on team ever. And I could give you plenty of examples of non-Raider type situations, which I probably will to talk about my point about the manipulation and not the rig entertainment value that people are starting to believe that the NFL is. They definitely try to manipulate the situation to go their way, and sometimes that's not hard to do. If you're a good football team and you're in the good graces of the NFL, you know, you still have to do the work to make it there, but they'll make that path a little bit easier for you, if that's the best way that I could say it. And when it comes to this particular game, they wanted to make sure and make it understood that, at least for this year, the Raiders ain't going anywhere. And I said in the last video when he got the bag, right, when he got the loot, and he was trying to get to that big boy table, he'll never make it to that big boy table. In fact, they'll let him sit around the table, like I said. But, you know, Mark Davis knows that he needs to make what he can and try to position himself and his family for the future. And they want Vegas, they just don't want the Davis name. They know the Raiders are a brand that they can capitalize on financially. If Davis was to sell, we would probably be able to position ourselves into quite a few Super Bowls, I believe. I truly believe that, because we are that world brand. And now we're in a world city where people around the world will come to that city. And if they don't understand American football, the casinos and the businesses around will make sure that they have an opportunity to go experience football. And the Raiders just have that silver and black color, that mystique, that whole persona that they carry. And that's the thing that bothers me the most, is I know what it's going to take to even have a true, clear, competitive, like I said, we would still be manipulated against, just like everybody else is, but we would definitely still have that same competitive edge if Mark was to sell the team. We would be at an even playing field for the first time since the merger. And the problem is that's going to come at a price, nation. And this is my true message to all of this. We're not going to change. Nothing's going to come of us kicking up dirt and screaming and calling the NFL out. Although I encourage you to continue to do so, but it's nothing. Just know that nothing's going to change, and unless it's sold. But there's a price to pay for that. Once the Davis name is removed from this organization, I don't know if it will really feel like the Raiders we love. Don't know. I mean, I can't obviously 100% say that. I mean, I know from a smart marketing standpoint, they'll definitely keep certain things in place, and they'll try to keep a somewhat of that era around because they know they have to. But I just think a lot of the things that we love will change. So it's a real sad thing to see. It's another kick in the balls, to be honest with you. And I know a lot of us are tired of it. Some of us are older. Some of us has been dealing with these kick to the balls for many, many years. I'm not going to stop watching, and I'm definitely going to not stop supporting, and I'm definitely not going to stop talking Raider football just because the league, you know, has it out for the Davis name. I still believe in this brand. I still believe in this organization, and I still believe if we go out and we find the right personnel, front office, general manager, coaches, and really put something together, we could overcome a lot of this manipulation. We've done it in the past. Like, they didn't give us a freebie back in 2003 to play against Tampa and Gruden. I mean, I have a good storyline. I mean, it's part one of the reasons why they kind of let Tampa in more than they let us in. We were a good football team, and you can manipulate it all you want. It was inevitable. It was inevitable that we were that team that had defense, offense, special teams. We were going to be competitive, and we were going to eventually make it to the big game, and we did. And we got blown out. And I you know, was that manipulated? Letting Gruden in like that? Possibly. There's probably some strings that were pulled to really make that possible and gave Gruden the right opportunity to get his team in there where he definitely knew the Raiders inside out. It could have been some type of inside job. There definitely could be some manipulation with coaches and everything, but you know, again, I don't like to go down those rabbit holes hard, but I'm sure that there's instances of these types of things happening across the league, across the board, not just to the Raiders, but when it comes to the Raiders, it's definitely pushed harder and made a lot harder for the Raiders. Man, I want to say it was either Sanjit. I want to say it was Sanjit that, man, I don't want to like discredit anybody, but there was a YouTube content creator that actually had somebody on that actually did the research. It might even have been Raider. I don't even want to say any more names. There was a report that came out a couple years ago where this guy he did analysis, and he showed how uncommon and how much more it was drastically how much more the Raiders are penalized in a game than other teams, especially in certain situations. I mean, caught dead to rights. All the statistics were there. It doesn't change anything, man. It doesn't. They still do it, right? And it's funny because as much as they have it out for us, right? Jerry Jones is one of the most premier owners in the league. He's one of the top dogs. He's one of the shot callers in that big building. You know, why would that game on Thanksgiving go so badly? Why do you think he was so mad, right? Why do you think he was so mad? You know, his player kept making the mistakes he shouldn't have made, and certain things they just had to call, right? Maybe that was one of the days they didn't have an agenda to manipulate the game, or however that whole thing works, and it backfired on Jerry Jones a little bit. But it's not that he hasn't been part of that scrutiny before. Do you remember the Dez Bryant catch, so-called not catch? They've been a part of that controversy before as well. There's a few things that have happened to the Cowboys over the past years, and maybe that's just to make it seem balanced, you know. But you know, it's funny how we can play that competitively against a team like that, and then the next week get beat up and lose to a lesser opponent. So there's definitely manipulation that happens. But if you're a well-coached team, you have the right scheme, the right people in place, and you go out there and you make the plays and you continue to make those plays, you know, you can overcome the manipulation. But they'll definitely put it towards the Raiders. So I don't want to ramble on too much more about this. You know, again, if you're new here, hit the subscribe button, the notification bell, so you can be updated every time I drop another video. Press that like button, man. Let's really continue to move this thing up the algorithm. Hey, there's no game. Take the opportunity to take your family out. Go check out some Christmas lights, do some Christmas shopping. Take your kids, if you happen to go get hot cocoa. Big shout out to my kids. Got the Jack Skellington mug. Dad, I can never use them, so I'm using it in a video, kids. Here you go. And this is why I try to keep it a little cleaner in here. My kids do watch. Quick fun fact, you know, I have a disabled household. You guys know that I'm legally blind. I have a special needs daughter who's nonverbal, who lives with me here in the home. I also have an autistic son who lives in the house. All of us seem to have a little something. We're probably the ones that have the major, you know, disabilities. But here, if I can get this channel going, I'm thinking about making my son a producer of the show and kind of helping me behind the scenes, hitting some buttons and doing some photography work and just giving him an opportunity. So this will always be a family show on this channel. It'll always be driven towards as clean as possible as I can make it. But I just thank you guys for all your support and all your love. Nation, I love you. Let's just keep fighting. Let's keep fighting, and don't be afraid to speak your word, man. Come on here, call them out. Call them out. That's the best that we can do. Let them know that you're not pulling anything over us, right? I almost said you ain't pulling anything over my eyes, but I guess that doesn't really matter for me. But you're not just pulling anything over on us, right? Like, we know, we can tell what's going on, you know, and it's been going on for years. But, you know, the best way to overcome it is to actually build something that counts, build something that matters, build something that can actually overcome that manipulation and put it right back in their face. Because it is a competitive sport, and they know they have to keep it competitive, but they'll definitely manipulate us out of that running. So we have to fight, and it really, again, starts with the players and coaches. We've got to be prepared, and we've got to execute, and we've got to make plays. So Monday, this game, to me, it has a little bit more importance now than it did, right? We talked about, you know, or I didn't talk about, a lot of people have been talking about the opportunity to beat them while they're weakened. Well, now they'll be a little bit more prepared for this game. You know, by a few days, they'll get some guys back, and that's fine. But, you know, this is an opportunity for the Raiders to step up and put it to the Browns, legitly, and say, you know what? You try to hold us back, and they got to follow up that with a win against Denver. Anyways, you guys know what it is. Till next time, stay Raider strong. Peace.